Okay, we may have found the perfect Christmas gift.
Denver 7 anchor Mitch Jelniker has a story of two remarkable families drawn together through loss, love, and an incredible life-saving gesture.
Life is full of peaks and valleys. For a young man from Castle Rock, ascending mountains was the closest thing on earth to heaven.
Smartest, funniest kid, wicked sense of humor. He was very, very bright.
Cole Kennedy was just 23 when he was killed while mountain climbing in Peru. Rushing to his family's side were longtime neighbors and friends, Lisa and Steve Rice.
Steve and Lisa were probably some of the first people here. I remember that.
The families vacationed together over the years. Their boys the same age. Eric, the tall, lanky one, and Cole, the adventurous one.
Our most fondest memory is when we went to Cancun, playing on the beach.
Fast forward 2.5 years after Cole's death, and Eric is in need of a liver transplant.
Eric had an abnormality that probably has been there since birth.
But just 4 days before the transplant in August, an unforeseen circumstance caused the surgery to be called off. The Rice family was devastated. But their friend, Cole's mom, Karen Kennedy, had an idea.
I was like at the lowest low, and then Karen comes in and saves the day.
Karen is a registered nurse who has seen a lot of sick people in her time. So just 1 day after Eric got the bad news that his life-saving liver transplant was called off, Karen offered a part of her own liver.
I could not watch Steve and Lisa lose a kid. I couldn't.
47 tests later, Karen proved to be something no one in the Rice family could be, the perfect liver match for Eric.
We would ask her about it and say, Karen, are you sure about this? There was no turning her down. I mean, she just was not going to take no from anyone.
Karen and her husband Jim talked about the decision, but they never hesitated.
He said, what would you do to get Cole back? And I said I would give my life in a second. So if all I have to do is, give part of my liver to get Eric back, I mean, that's not a hard decision.
The Rices, on the other hand, worried about Karen.
I put somebody else at huge risk for potentially, death in the operating room when, there's other options.
But those other options aren't always there.
I think if you realize the number of people that are on the donor list, we're not sure Eric would have ever made it to get a deceased donor.
Karen and Eric say the true heroes in this story are the transplant surgeons at the University of Colorado Hospital. Chief of Transplant Surgery, Dr. Elizabeth Pomfrey, has performed more live donor liver surgeries than anyone in the country.
It is taking a portion of a healthy person's liver. We're taking typically the larger lobe, about 60% in most circumstances, and transplanting that into the person who needs the transplant after their entire liver's been removed.
The surgery was a success. Today, more than a month after surgery, Karen and Eric's livers are regenerating. They'll reach 100% of what they need within a year or less. And Eric's new liver will assume his age of 26.
I think he looks great. He looks better than he's looked, in my opinion, in probably almost 2 years.
Karen would like to think she'd make the same decision to donate if her son were still alive. But she knows that Cole, who was born on Christmas Day, provided much of her inspiration. And now their friend Eric will live to see many more Christmases, thanks to Karen's gift of life.
There's a lot of people who need a life-saving organ who, they're sick, but they're not close to death. And if it wasn't for people like Karen, it would never happen.
And you think about, how do you ever give back to that person and that family? And you really can't.
What Karen did for Eric is not only a gift to Eric, it's a gift to all of Eric's family. And that's really an extraordinary thing.
Mitch Jelniker tonight. What a beautiful, beautiful story tonight. And live liver transplants only account for about 4% of all liver transplants each year.
I'm a donor. You got to consider signing up to be an organ donor. So important. If you'd like to learn more, visit donatelifecolorado.org.